Hey, it's me, Raika. Today we're going to have a look at the brand new hero being added to the Mauler faction, Alaro, the Desert's Eye. Now he wears agility-based gear, and he's part of the support faction, and his primary role is to provide buffs and debuffs to your team and the enemies, and provide a bit of healing on the side. So let's have a look at his abilities. His ultimate skill, Unwanted Surprises. Alaro attacks an enemy target with poison daggers, dealing damage equal to 230% of his attack rating 3 times to the target. Within the next 15 seconds, the enemy struck by the poison daggers will lose health equal to 220% of Alaro's attack rating, and when they repeatedly use non-passive skills, so this can include their normal attacks, any ability from their skill set, or their ultimate skills. However, this cannot be triggered by any passive ability. This enemy will lose attack rating up to 12%. This debuff can be stacked 5 times, so the enemy can lose a total of 60% of their attack rating. So the next upgrade. Enemy target loses 250% of Alaro's attack rating as health when they repeatedly use their non-passive skills. The level 3, enemies target attack rating is reduced by 14% when repeatedly use their non-passive skills. So this is a massive 70% attack rating reduction that Alaro can apply to one of the enemies. So let's have a look at his next ability. Incognito mode, which is a passive skill. Alaro receives 30% less damage while on the enemy side of the battlefield. If Alaro is incognito, he'll stop actively fighting and instead gather intelligence. After gathering intelligence from all enemy heroes, Alaro ceases being incognito and returns to his team's backline to deliver the gathered intelligence to his allies. For the following 60 seconds, allied heroes gain an additional 16 points of energy when dealing damage to enemies who have already had their intelligence stolen by Alaro. Each ally can only trigger this effect once every 1 second. When Alaro ceases being incognito, he immediately returns to his side of the battlefield to pass on the intelligence that he has gathered from the enemies to his allies. The next upgrade, enemies who have had their intelligence stolen lose 16% crit block rate. The next upgrade, the following 85 seconds, allied heroes gain an additional 16 points of energy when dealing damage to the enemies who have had their intelligence already stolen. Level 4, enemies who have had their intelligence stolen lose 30% crit block rate. So his next ability, Dummy Double. At the start of battle, Alaro creates a dummy that occupies his original position, that possesses the same attributes as himself. After creating the dummy, Alaro goes incognito, during which time he is immune to damage and control based abilities. When Alaro's dummy is destroyed, Alaro ceases being incognito and the dummy deals 420% of Alaro's attack rating as AoE damage to nearby enemies. In addition, this will stun them for 3 seconds. The level 2, dummy deals 460% of Alaro's attack rating as AoE damage. Level 3, the enemies are stunned for 5 seconds, up from 3 seconds. And the level 4, which is 30 engravings. When the dummy is destroyed, all allies are granted a shield that mitigates damage equal to 550% of Alaro's attack rating. So his next ability, Snooping Ambush. Alaro makes a record of the enemy with the highest attack rating, and then he uses his blowgun to deal damage equal to 270% of his attack rating to the enemy, simultaneously removing the majority of the enemy's buffs. In the following 7 seconds, Alaro slows the enemy target and makes another record of the enemy's attack rating, and then compares the difference between both records. Based on the attack rating difference, the enemy will lose more haste the greater the difference is. The quantity of haste lost by the enemy will be increased by a minimum of 10 and a maximum of 30 points. The level 2 upgrade, damage is increased to 320%. the level 3, duration of the skill is increased to 10 seconds. And the level 60 engravings, Alaro slows the enemy's target and makes another record of the enemy's attack rating, and then compares the difference between the two records. While the target is slowed based on the attack rating difference, the enemy will receive more damage the greater the difference is. Damage received by the enemy will be increased by a minimum of 10% and a maximum of 40%. So let's have a look at his signature item. So his signature item reads is a passive ability. So when you unlock this skill, you get this ability that he can use. Allies within a certain range of Alaro recover health equal to 190% of his attack rating and gain 30% dodge points for 3 seconds. Each ally may only receive this effect once every 4 seconds. So the 10 upgrade, allies recover health equal to 220% and gain dodge points for 30 dodge points for the following 3 seconds. The 20 upgrade, allies recover health equal to 250% of Alaro's attack rating and gain 50 dodge points for the following 3 seconds. The 30 unlock, enemies within a certain range of Alaro lose 120 points of accuracy points for the following 4 seconds. Each enemy may only suffer this effect once every 8 seconds. So let's have a look at his exclusive furniture. So his 3 out of 3 furniture, excluding Alaro, allies that successfully use control effects against enemies who have had their intelligence stolen by Alaro gain 30 haste points for the following 6 seconds. This effect cannot be stacked, so this can be used back to back. So as soon as the one duration ends, the next one can begin. Allies that possess intelligence about the enemy gain an additional 24 points of insight. So this insight stat allows you to use your control abilities more effectively against their enemies if they have a high tenacity stat. So let's have a look at this hero in battle. So as he is a support, he's most likely will be a backline hero. So as you can see at the beginning of the battle, he uses his dummy and he is in incognito mode where he is immune to all damage. So once he's gained intelligence over the enemies, he will now provide buffs to his allies. This includes damage reduction, a bit of extra stats that his allies gain, and a bit of energy points. So let's have a look at his ultimate ability. So he goes up into the sky and then he shoots the poison daggers. So he gains energy relatively quickly. And he is a melee hero. So this means that he fights in very close proximity to the enemies. So he's not a ranged support, as he likes to go into the front lines and deal damage. So let's have a look at him in battle. Alright, so as you can see here, I've put him behind Arthur, so you can gain a bit of stats from Arthur as well. So you can use his abilities more often and he can be more effective in battle. So as we can see, he immediately summons his totem and then he goes incognito mode and he's gaining intelligence over the enemies. This can be seen by the little mark over the enemies' heads, and he's slowly gaining intelligence over every single enemy on the battlefield. Now, once he's gained the intelligence of all the enemies, he'll go back to his position and he'll start using his normal abilities. So he can provide a lot of significant buffs to your allies through his energy and haste and damage amplification on the enemies. So let's speed up this battle and see how he works in this battle. Now, he's not necessarily a damage dealer or a significant healer in the team. However, he can provide a significant amount of secondary stats which are extremely beneficial to your allies, such as the energy and increasing the amount of damage on the enemies. This might be extremely effective against bosses where your allies can use their ultimate much faster. And as we can see here, he did not deal the most amount of damage. However, he did provide a significant amount of healing through his abilities. So let's have a look at a slightly higher deficit and see how he works. Alright, so as soon as you start the battle, once again, he summons his totem, and it doesn't have really that much health. So usually it will get instantly one shot unless he's standing in the back row. So as we can see here, he didn't do any damage to enemies. However, he did provide a bit of healing for his allies in order to survive. So let's have a look at another battle. So this is essentially one of the formations that he might fit in really well with an Alna Grazul team, where he can have a very strong front row based tanks or team that can essentially stall, and Alaro can gain the various intelligence from the enemies. Now, once he's gained intelligence, essentially this will allow your allies to gain energy faster, gain haste, reducing the enemy's attack power, and increasing the damage on specific enemies. So let's have a look at how he does in this battle. So once again, his totem is not being damaged. However, he's still providing the buffs to his allies. Now, as you can see here, he's providing a significant amount of healing for his allies. However, he didn't do any damage as we know, at the beginning of the battle, he goes incognito and gathers intelligence for his allies. So let's have a look at another team. So this might work extremely well with Lucretia, as Lucretia sometimes needs that bit of extra energy. And once the enemy has been marked with the intelligence buff, Lucretia will easily be able to get a significant amount of energy due to how much she attacks per second. So let's have a look at the damage outcome. Now, as you can see, he managed to do a bit of damage, and also he provided a bit of healing. However, this was significantly outclassed by Mortis, who managed to deal more damage and provide more healing to his allies. So he will fit in either invade-based teams, so that means your allies are fighting primarily in the enemy's half, or he'll work really well in teams where you'll have two very solid tanks in the front row, and he can essentially provide stats and buffs for your other heroes so they can more effectively complete their role. In addition, as he starts off as incognito, this will allow him to essentially dodge certain attacks. So if the enemy has a Thalia, a Nara, and so on, this will essentially allow you to dodge that initial attack so you can get off your abilities and start dealing damage. Like, comment, and subscribe.